Sound check, 1, 2, 3. Wait, sorry, would you mind speaking again, please? I didn't hear you the first time. Sam? Wait, sorry, are you speaking?
Can you hear us, Christine?
Can you try again?
Christine, can you hear us? Christine, can you hear
Yes.
us?
Yes, I can. It is faint though. Um, that's fine. It's just because I think it's just because the owl's far away. Let me disconnect. Yes, that is.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Chantal Cotton Gaines, Deputy City Manager, Liaison to you on the City Schools Liaison Committee. I will start the meeting today to start your first item, selecting your chair, and then at that time, I'll turn it over to the newly selected chair. So with that, at first, let's do a roll call, and then we'll go to that item of selecting a chair.
Councilmember Stone,
Here.
Board President Siegel,
Here.
Councilmember Lou,
Here.
Board Member Kamai.
Here.
For the record, we have quorum.
Great, thank you so much, Sam. Okay, so are there any we'll go to the first item of selection of chair. Are there any nominations for chair? Just for context, we alternate year over year. So last year, the district had the chairperson role. So this year, it typically traditionally would switch over to the city side. So that limits it pretty significantly for nomination opportunity.
I nominate Career Stone to serve as the chair of the City School Liaison Committee. He has been a product of Palo Alto Schools, a champion for youth mental health, and a public school future who's well suited for this.
Do you accept the nomination?
I'll accept it. Thank you, Councilmember Lou. Appreciate it.
As a formality, are there any other nominations for chair? Okay, great. Could we call the vote on that, please?
Just want to clarify, do we need a second for?
Sure. Someone want to second that?
I will second.
Thank you. Okay, and then whenever you're ready, you can call it.
Good. Board Member Kamai,
Aye.
Councilmember Lou,
Yes.
Board President Siegel,
Aye.
Councilmember Stone,
Yes.
motion carries 4-0.
Excellent. Chair Stone, it's all yours.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate the nomination and I appreciate the vote of confidence. Looking forward to a good year on this committee, working together between our city and our school district. So then that takes care of our business items. That's good. How about future meetings and agendas? Turn it over to staff.
We can actually skip to open forum because we'll talk future meetings and the future business at the very end.
Okay, sounds good. Then we'll open it up for open forum. Do we have any members of the public wishing to speak?
There's actually no members of the public that wish to speak at this moment.
Okay, and seeing none in the room, we'll move on to approval of minutes. Do we have any action minutes from prior meeting?
Thank you. We have minutes from the last meeting of this committee, which was September of 2024. Because we do not have those today and everyone is a new member, we wanted to give the committee time to review that. So we'll bring it to your next meeting and share it with you ahead of time.
All right, that sounds like a good plan. Moving on to city and district reports.
So on this item, we typically would have the city representatives as well as the board representatives just share updates of things happening at the city council and at the board, and then also staff will share some additional announcements. So your choice of which of those goes first.
Great, let's go with board members first then. Get up to our city representatives.
Updates, or is it like getting just up to speed where what board members are doing, or is it what are future agenda? What would be, sorry, I haven't been on this. Is it future agenda items or?
So typically it is things that are likely relevant for the other entity is how I would probably describe it. So recent actions
Okay.
that are happening, both from the staff side as well as the board, or if there are upcoming events or things that
Okay.
just may be relevant that you
Okay.
would like to share with your colleagues.
We have our final early childhood education committee meeting tomorrow. We have had maybe 5 meetings. The meetings are about 2 hours in length. And the members of the committee include Lee Bab from PAC. So we have representation from PAC, and we also have representation for TK teachers, preschool family, and parents. And so we're looking at how to make sure we are serving all of our students and looking for opportunities with TK and looking at Young Fives, looking at Greendale. So looking at partnerships, maybe more partnerships with PAC. And so the reason I'm being a little bit more vague is tomorrow is our final meeting and recommendations will be coming out of that final meeting. Then those recommendations will be brought to the board and the board will take action or no action on those recommendations. So I'd say for right now, that is one of our committees that it's timely at this time, as our final meeting is tomorrow. And the chair of that committee is Lana Conway.
I'll just add a little bit. So I was at the ribbon cutting ceremony also with Dr. Austin for Escondido and the new construction that opened up there in one of our elementary schools. And that was a really wonderful event. There was a lot of happiness, a lot of excitement. And as a parent at Escondido, I was also personally very excited to see the fruits of all that construction. And I know there have been a lot of events going on around the district to celebrate Black History Month. And we've got some Black History Month bike rides scheduled for this Saturday. So I'm excited about that as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Lou, any updates you'd like to provide?
Yes, I have a few things that I'd like to share. One positive note, council recently approved for final approval 55 units of housing intended for PAUSD teachers and staff, where they will have the right of first refusal and all the housing will essentially be deed restricted, affordable and below, essentially below market rate. So we are very excited about that and hope we can provide more support for PAUSD teachers and staff. A few other things. Last week, council had a visioning session for Cubberley and its plans to build a community center there. There will be a series of community meetings. The next one is March 19th at 6 p.m. And of course, we really welcome all of our school and other stakeholders to attend that. One note about also the scope of this committee as it relates to Cubberley, that is still somewhat unclear for council purposes. On March 10th, council will approve its work plans and its committee work plans. There will be a Cubberley ad hoc committee with, I believe, Councilmember Stone, Lithcott-Hames, and Rectal. Is that right? Yeah, but there will be a Cubberley ad hoc committee at the city council level, and the tentative plan is that Cubberley related issues would not go through this body, but would instead go through that ad hoc. Again, that's the tentative plan and council will approve or modify that plan on March 10th. So welcome any thoughts from our school partners there. Otherwise, we're making progress on our Safe Streets for All plan and our bike and ped plan. I think there's still multiple opportunities for people to comment. One positive update on that front is that the Palo Alto PD traffic enforcement unit recently got to full staffing, I believe, and is able to potentially help with safe routes to school type issues. I had one more specific update noted. So I believe about a month ago, the city updated its suicide prevention policy, and that's a policy that applies to all members of the community, school age, senior, and city staff, PAUSD staff, things like that. It's available. It was, I think, adopted by the city just before the new year. So in like December 30th or 31st something, 2024. And I suspect that's an area where we might, where it might be interesting for the school board and it might be an area where we could work together. I think those are all the updates I have, at least from the council side.
And confirmed it is Councilmember Rectal.
No. No, you're adding me to a new committee. Thank you. That was a good list. I think the only two things really to add in addition to that, last night, the council in our mid-year budget hearing basically gave the direction to staff to explore adding 3 new full-time firefighters at Fire Station 4, which is in South Palo Alto, near several schools in that area. So hopefully be able to provide some greater protection to not only the community, but also our schools. And an item coming up this Thursday night, which should be of interest to everybody, and I know as well, board member Kamai, with your immigration law background, there's a Know Your Rights event that the Human Relations Commission is hosting along with the city of Palo Alto. That'll be, I'm out of town that night, unfortunately, so I can't make it. That's at,
I can tell you the time.
we'll have the exact time and location for anyone listening and for our members here to be able to participate. But I know I participated in a similar event during the first Trump administration, and it was really well attended. Good opportunity for undocumented immigrants to understand their legal rights. Thank you. So yes, so it's Thursday, February 27th at 5:30 p.m. at Mitchell Park Community Center inside the El Palo Alto room. And yeah, it's gonna be a really good event. So encourage the whole community to attend. All right, I believe those are mine. So then I'll turn it over to either Superintendent Austin or Deputy.
First down.
Want to be super quick. Just for context, we meet regularly with the staff at the city, so that's a meeting with me and Ed and Chantal, and we've done this for several years now, so we've got a good rhythm to it. That's in addition to any additional outreach that we do over time. I'd say probably more time is spent on construction, utilities related topics. Those are places where we seem to interface quite a bit, which isn't exciting, but I'll take that over our COVID discussions a few years ago. So we do spend quite a bit of time there, though. Part of that is because we have a lot of construction going on, and we're doing some pretty big projects, and those projects spill over into the streets and utilities and other places. Always appreciate working with both of you, though. We are doing a better job of getting ahead of things instead of just reacting when something isn't going the way one of us would like. I think it's really paid off over time. So nothing else to add as far as the district specifically, just acknowledgement that appreciate working with the staff of the city.
Thank you, Don. We appreciate working with you as well. Also a good opportunity for us when issues do come up, having that relationship really makes it easier to go ahead and deal with those. I just have 2 quick updates. Thank you for mentioning the Know Your Rights event. I also wanted to flag that this Friday, registration officially opens for our summer camps that are run by the city. We piloted a new program this year called a Digi-Form, where families were able to choose some camps earlier, and it was more of a lottery system. And so it gave the opportunity to sort of more fairly spread the ability to join camps. And Ms. Kristen O'Kane is online, so if I completely botched that, she can correct all of the misstatements that I have. But that is a really exciting pilot program for Palo Alto families, so everyone doesn't have to necessarily be right at their computer at 8:30 a.m. on the day that it opens. But for those that have not filled out the Digi form, the rest of the camps are available starting this Friday, February 28th. Ms. O'Kane, is there anything you would like to add to that before I go to my other quick update?
No, I think that is a perfect summary. So thank you, Deputy City Manager.
No problem. And then the other one I wanted to highlight very briefly is a mayor's press and community briefing that's happening this Thursday as well. That is from 5 to 6 p.m. at the Rinconada Library and Barcadero Room. And it's just an update on progress on community priorities and the council priorities. And so it's a very open forum. And that's something that families and parents in the district are interested in sending folks to, please do.
All right, wonderful, thank you. And we already went past open forum, but Lee, is there anything you wanted to say? Okay, perfect, just wanted to double check. Okay, then we will move on to future business. Yes, go ahead. Board President Siegel.
I was interested in looking into like ways to partner. This is my first time being on City School Liaison. So I reached out to Jessica Spicer, who served on Los Altos School Board for 8 years and is now on the county. And I just said, are there any programs I could look into to help maybe build a stronger sense of belonging or offer more partnerships? And she said, have you heard of challenge teams? And I said, I've not heard of challenge teams. And if we look on the website, we can, people can look into challenge teams, but it was started in 1987 by a woman named Gay Krause, who I did a Zoom with yesterday. And so it was started, she used to work at the school district, and even when she left, she continued it on as a nonprofit. But some of the agencies that work within them are MVLA, Los Altos, Mountain View Wisman, Foothill College, De Anza, Alcove, Kiwanis, library. It's basically all police department. There were like 100 different nonprofits and organizations that work within it. And so it was something I thought that we could explore. She said that the next meeting is March 13th at 7:30 a.m. And so if people look online and think, hey, maybe this is something interesting, I'd be happy to attend the meeting. She said all of the meetings are open to the public, but I don't know if that's something where there's interest at this level. I don't know if this is the level to even bring it, but I'm just throwing it out there. And it's online at challengeteams.org.
Great, thank you. Seems like a great program to look into. And I think that's kind of the excitement of having all new members of this committee, that sure, we kind of have the guidelines, I guess, that was set up back in 2019, but we can also make it what we think it needs to be in order to be able to most effectively serve our joint community. So I think that's an exciting opportunity for us. Others?
I'll just say I'm particularly excited about working on some of the bike safety pedestrian issues that were already mentioned today. That would be a place I'd like to dive deeper to talk about how to keep our communities safer.
And I think having the feedback of the school district on that plan would be really beneficial for the council.
And there may be a good starting place for that conversation. We have the Safe Routes to School team do a presentation to this committee, just talking about some of their annual statistics. And so between that and also maybe some of the broader conversations may be a good opportunity. I believe they want to come to the March meeting. And so once I know the date, which would be something else you all talk about, we can coordinate with staff. I believe they intend to come.
Any others? And I think then, one for me, I'd really like us to see us jointly tackle the issue of youth mental health and well-being. Last year when I was mayor, I was attending the US Mayor's Conference in Washington, DC. And we had the then Secretary of Education present. And I remember one of the things that he really spoke strongly on was this need for closer collaboration between school districts and cities on this particular issue. And he spoke really passionately about this kind of natural gap that occurs once the school day ends and students leave the campus, and to make sure that there is a seamless transition there. And district does so much incredible work here. The city does as well. And we're trying to, I think, build our programs. And so for us to continue to collaborate in a variety of issues would be, I think, a really powerful thing that this committee can be able to do. So excited to be able to work with everybody on that. And then just kind of a question about sort of formality. I'm curious what everybody is interested in. Typically, when we have ad hoc committees at the council level, we tend to be a little more casual and don't use titles and we tend to just kind of go with first name and dress a little more casually. Curious if there's any preference. I can go either way, but want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with how we just kind of conduct our business.
I'm happy with casual.
Same here.
Same here.
Thanks, George, Sean, and Allison. That's helpful. I'm glad we already got our jeans on, so this is nice. Allison, you need to dress down a little.
I changed right from, that's why I was late.
We appreciate it. Okay,
Oh, yeah, we
Yes,
were
we do.
having
I
time.
have one question.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
I understand that we are building, or we're supporting a new teen center, off of Bryant. Under what committee would that fall under, and under what timeline? Does staff know where that project would actually land, and whether that's a relevant issue for us to discuss over this year?
Ms. O'Kane is managing that one. I don't know if she's prepared to speak to that high level.
Thank you, Kristen O'Kane, Community Services. I can tell you where we are at. So we just recently met with the architect to look at the space and put a design together, which would include dedicated space for teens. I don't have the schedule. The actual construction and design is being handled by Public Works. And I guess, need to discuss maybe with Deputy City Manager Cotton Gaines on where this might fit in with this committee or with Chair Stone. One of the things we would like to do with the teen center is really have it designed by teens. So whatever's inside is something that will draw teens to the space. Whatever programs or services we provide there would be something that we're hearing directly from the teens that they want. So I think more to come on that. That does raise a really good question. So thank you for bringing that up, and we'll discuss and report back to the committee.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so now moving to future meetings and agendas. Then I'll turn it over to staff.
Yes, so the committee has typically met on Thursday, the third Thursday of each month at 8:30 in the morning. And I understand we'll need to pick a different ongoing time, so we were excited to find this time today, and we wanted to just see if we can find a day of month type of cadence, or if it's something that the committee wanted to set each date. So wanted to open that discussion to see what works for the committee. Or suggestions, and then we can follow.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so curious if there are preferences, days that don't work. Do we just need to go back to doing that kind of whatever form you kind of sent out to be able to figure out a specific date and time? I mean, for me, I think Tuesdays generally, or I mean, we have meetings, I know school board has meetings every other Tuesday. If we can find a Tuesday that works between all of our busy schedules, and maybe if we're able to do 6 p.m. rather than 7 p.m., I think that would be good. So we're out of here at least by 8. But definitely open to the timing on that. I apologize for the lack of my flexibility in my schedule since I teach during the day. But I know we all work, so I'm curious to hear from others.
Sure, so the 8:30 a.m. slot or the 4 p.m. slot are particularly good for me. Evenings are harder, but I don't know if there's any flexibility with late afternoon.
I could do late afternoon, but I would almost always have to dial in from Zoom. And so personally, 5:30 or after would be preferred.
And I'll just add under the rules of the Brown Act, I think, and our council policies, you'd be limited on the number of times you'd be able to zoom in. So I think we need to really find a time that we could all meet in person. Right. Because otherwise I'd be able to be flexible too in early mornings, but I spoke with the city attorney before this and we're pretty restricted. Yeah.
I mean, I think in 2024, this body met something like 3 times, right? So that ultimately will not be a lot of meetings as far as like Zoom purposes go, but maybe the plan this year is different.
That's completely up to the committee. Last year, there was, interest by the chair that if there was an immediate item to talk about, that we can just skip a meeting. And so they sort of set a every other month cadence is sort of how it started. And then near the end of the year, it just wasn't any meetings after September, just the way that things happen. So if it's of interest, you can meet every other month, every quarter. That's a cadence that you can set if that helps. We will need a quorum in person, so I wouldn't recommend a lot of folks doing Zoom. But you could have one person, I believe, each time, because our quorum is 3, correct?
And I can do Tuesdays, as long as they're not the school board meeting Tuesdays. And I think in terms of the cadence, I would let the chair decide the cadence of how often we meet. But
I cannot do the second Tuesday of each month for policy and services. That's a conflict.
Neither.
Yeah.
So it'll just
I
be you
think
two.
we're all together.
Yeah.
So what Tuesdays do the board meet?
So we're meeting March 11th, which is the second Tuesday, March 25th. And then April 22nd. I believe we are also meeting the 29th. Is that
Tentative.
a tentative for the 29th meeting? I wouldn't want, so April would be kind of hard. There's, spring break, maybe, and then we meet May 13th. And then we meet June 3rd and 17th.
Am I hearing that, working hours, I'll just try one more time. If there's any time earlier than evening that might work, what time, I'd be even willing to meet early in the morning. What time do you guys need to be where you need to be?
I'm generally flexible, but something like 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I generally want to be in the office.
Yep.
I think something like 8 a.m. or similar also works well for me. Or even earlier than that, but it may not work well for staff.
Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna be very cognizant of the burdens on others and if public wanna attend.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a time the committee met at 8 a.m. And we scooted it back just a little to account for folks that had to drop children off in the morning.
Yeah, I couldn't meet till a little bit less because I'm dropping my kids off and dropping them, yeah.
So like an 8:30 start date.
But I think Greer,
But
don't
that's
you start
exactly
teaching
when
it?
you
Yeah, I
are.
think that's when it's
Okay.
teaching.
It would 5 p.m. be too late? 5 p.m. tends to be a nice time because at least people get off work at that time.
Yeah, I think 7 is much better for me than 5. Yeah, I think that the 5 to 7 is probably the worst
Okay.
time for pickups and stuff. Okay, you can do anything.
Yeah, I can do 5, I can do 6, I can do 7, as long as it's not a school board
Right.
meeting day.
And same with you, Julie.
Yes.
What about we schedule for the first Tuesday of the month? And I am not one to want to have meetings that's just going to waste our time. So I'm completely supportive as well. If it's a light agenda or not very timely and we can just push it off, I'd rather have a longer meeting every other month and very short meetings and waste everybody's time having to come out here. So I think maybe we schedule for the first Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. and we'll see what the agendas are looking like.
That works. Just as a heads up now is that June, that definitely won't work because we have a school board meeting, but as long as going in, we know about June, that works for me.
Perfect. And we can definitely schedule around that then.
Yeah.
Great, thank you guys.
Okay. And assuming, since we're already at the end of February, that our next meeting would be the first Tuesday in April.
Yes.
And if I,
Unless staff had plans, sorry, for a lot more on the next agenda, but
The item that I know we're looking to schedule is the update from the Safe Routes to School team. So with a date in mind, I can discuss that with staff. I did want to note that the first Tuesdays of each month is the finance committee. So we will probably meet in the council chamber as opposed to this room. So it'll feel a little bit more formal, but just heads up. And our meetings are just recorded to YouTube, so it shouldn't be a streaming issue that I'm aware of.
right, perfect. Superintendent has no issues with that either? Okay.
I will assign somebody.
Sounds good. 7 PM. All right, so first Tuesday, 7 PM, our next meeting will be April 1st.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks for everybody's flexibility. Okay, anything else then for future meetings? All right, then hearing none,